Just One Thing is a podcast with both feet firmly placed in the world of events and the creative industries, presented by me, Mel Noakes.
And me, Max Fellows.
It's a podcast from Elevate, where industry trailblazers write a letter to their younger selves.
And consider what wise words of advice they would give themselves now, if only they could.
Our discussion is all based on this letter. Be prepared for refreshingly honest conversations and words of wisdom.
Our guest on this episode is Louisa O'Connor, Managing Director of SAUCE Presents, one of the UK's fastest growing brand experience agencies.
Louisa's impressive career spans nearly 2 decades in experiential marketing, working with major global brands like Netflix, TikTok, Amazon and Live Nation. Starting as a project assistant, she quickly progressed into senior roles, ultimately founding the new SAUCE Presents, a dynamic, female-led agency recognised for transforming intangible brand stories into immersive, emotionally engaging experiences. Under Louisa's leadership, SAUCE Presents has grown rapidly, securing prestigious awards including the Drum's Leader of the Year 2023 and most recently Campaign Experience Agency of the Year 2025.
Louisa champions inclusive leadership, innovation and creativity, continually pushing the boundaries of what brand experiences can achieve. We're thrilled she's joined us today and is now going to read a letter to her 21-year-old self.
Hi Louisa, aged 21, 2005. So I'm sorry to say, 20 years on, you're still feeling like you're not good enough and killing yourself to please everyone all the time. I wish you knew it's not possible, so stop trying. That worry though, that anxiety, that constant fear of failing, it will actually be the force that drives you day in and day out. Your work ethic will be your biggest asset. Your ability to outwork everyone and your flat refusal to let anyone down, ever, is what will help you make a success of the opportunities that come your way. You'll help out at the uni grad ball soon, and it will leave you hooked on events, but before you dive into the world of live experiences, you'll find yourself in a muddy field, hard hat on, lugging bricks around, trying to sell them to a load of Geordie builders. You'll hate it. But it will teach you how to build gumption and grit and how to talk to almost anyone and usually get them on side. It will also teach you how to work on your own and structure your day. Turns out you're not a morning person. That passion for events that you discovered at university will never leave you, and over time, you'll build that passion into a career. Your love for the industry will take you all over the world and expose you to some of the greatest talents you'll ever work alongside. They'll push you to be better, and one day you might even think you're as good as them. You know those people who mock your accent? The ones that you have to work extra hard to prove that you know what you're doing, that you're not thick? Don't listen to them. That endearing quality of yours, you might even end up crediting your business's success to it. Do not underestimate the power of honesty, the ability to make people feel at ease, feel listened to, feel like they can trust you. It will enable you to build a real client relationship that will last over 20 years. Your accent will also make Americans love you. You'll need to know you're not perfect. I know you're trying really hard to be. Things will happen on projects that will be disastrous, even though you work so hard to avoid them. But they won't break you, I promise. Those experiences will help you build an armour so strong that you'll say yes to starting a business from scratch right after COVID and give you the confidence to know that you can do it. You know not everything is down to you though, right? You're going to need to let go of some of that responsibility. You'll be so proud of the feedback you get from friends, family and colleagues over the years, that you are always there to help, always there to talk to. But be careful, it will end up burning you out if you have nothing left for yourself, and that's no good to man nor beast. Don't lose your sense of fun. You'll have to check yourself on it sometimes. It's what people are initially drawn to. Building a business is a lot, and it will feel like a huge responsibility. Again, you'll lapse into, I mustn't let anyone down. Stop it, enjoy it. This will be a common theme. Try and train yourself to pause and enjoy the moment. Stop thinking about what could go wrong or what's next all the time. Keep a bit of it though. It'll help you grow your business quickly. Keep living by your mantra of saying yes. Go for the bloody drink, stay the extra hour, get the train to that gig. Remember, karaoke is always a good idea. No, you're not as good as you think you are though. And make the big call. One of those scary yeses will pave the way to setting up Scene Presents, which will be the greatest thing to ever happen to you. Lastly, in your 20s, you'll discover something called night nurse. Put the bottle down. With much love, you got this. Louisa, 2025.
And welcome.
Thank you.
There we go. So, Louisa, to those that don't know you, and shame on them, they should, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about kind of yourself at a top level, really.
So I'm Louisa O'Connor. I am Managing Director and founder of the new Scene Presents 2.0, as I like to call it. Been in brand experience my whole career pretty much, and I've been at the helm of Scene Presents for the last 3 and a bit years. Very chuffed to be here.
Love that. And just to kick things off, one thing that people won't know about you that might surprise them.
I am a red belt in Taekwondo.
What?
Really?
Yeah.
I want to see that celebration on a campaign experience stage soon.
I am a red belt in Taekwondo. Who knew?
Wow.
Still remember all my patterns from my belt.
Kicking ass at events and anyone that tries to approach you on the street.
Yeah, exactly.
Love that. So how was, welcome to the sofa, how was the process and experience of writing the letter? And to those that this will be their first episode, this whole conversation is based around that letter to your younger self. How was that for you?
First of all, it's like, where do you start? I sat down in my garden, poured myself a massive glass of Chardonnay, took a deep breath and was like, where do I even start? And then it just like flowed out of me. I've like never looked back. Like it's what, like 20 years now. And I definitely did cry doing it. And then I felt stupid for crying. I was like, don't be pathetic. Like you're a managing director of an agency. No, like you can't get upset. This is ridiculous. And then I just was like, I enjoyed it. And I found it quite like touching to think of old Louisa and wanted to be like, you know, you got there in the end, it'll be okay. So yeah, I would recommend it to anyone. But make sure you're like in a safe space with a lot of, you know, a lot of things to calm you down. Candles, Chardonnay, recommend.
It's interesting that you had that conversation with yourself of, I'm a managing director. I'm not meant to cry.
No.
I'm not meant to feel this. But you are still just Louisa O'Connor with
Still
a
just a
title, and
human.
you've got all of that experience. Why not cry, and why not be proud of it, and why not want to put your arms around her, or whatever else you felt?
Yeah.
It's really interesting because I think people listening to this, especially more junior people or people coming into the industry, they do look up to managing directors, and you seem to be in a completely different world and you just move differently, and maybe you don't feel the same. And it's great to see you're still very much the same.
Yeah, it made me realise I am exactly the same. You think that like 20 years and loads of experience is going to fundamentally change who you are, and it doesn't. I think it like builds your armour a little bit, and it gives you loads of experiences to know that you can get through stuff. So some of the stuff that back in the day I would have like had to go to the loo and have a, you know, big panic about. Now I'm like, I've been through this once, I know the way out of it. But like deep down, the fundamentals of you as a person doesn't really change. And I think that's important to know of yourself and of other people. You know, as you meet people through your career or whatever, like the bit that they fundamentally are, no matter what shiny title they have, they'll pretty much be the same.
I really believe and agree with that, is that actually I think there is a pedestal and to some extent this false sense of reality, and I think it's just, whether it's societal or industry or otherwise, is that these individuals in more senior are built of different things, or they are different forms of human entities and things, when actually, and the more sincere, genuine ones kind of show you under their armour as to actually they're still that same person, fun, charismatic, caring, self-conscious, right? And actually it's just the experience that enables them to make decisions better, quicker, more informed, and things like that. So showing people under the armour then and being quite, I suppose, raw and exposing, who is Louisa? What would you kind of say is you at the core and has been then at that kind of 20 or maybe even in your teens? You know, what made you and what makes you you?
I am like 99% worry and anxiety. I was just born that way. I was like, my mom said I was like a worrier child. I would always worry about, you know, like, have I upset anyone? Where are we going? Is this tidy enough? I'm a bit of a perfectionist, but not really for me, for like other people. I'm like constantly terrified of letting people down and like what they'll think, and have I done a good enough job, and have I put enough effort in, and have I done my best. So it's like plagued me my whole life, anxiety and worry. But I've tried to like turn it into my secret weapon and tried to make a positive out of it, in that because I worry and I overthink, it makes me a bit more prepared. It's like really draining for me, because like everyone around me is like, can you just like just enjoy it and like see the light side? Like, why are you worrying what's next all the time? And in my head, I'm like, well, that makes me better, because I'm like, okay, I'm prepared for what's next. I'm thinking all the time. But the bit that I wrote in my letter was like, and you have to try and enjoy it a little bit more, Louisa. Like, this is what good looks like. This is what fun looks like. So stop worrying all the time that it's not good enough and that it might go away, and try and enjoy it. And I think that at the core of me is just crippling anxiety. But I hide it really well.
Exceptionally well.
Yeah, agreed.
And is that something you've had support for over the years, to get to that place of channeling it into a positive, or figuring out how to use it in a more positive way? Or is that something you've learnt through doing?
A little bit of both. I've had medical support along the way, but I think my support has come through my family and my friends, and also just learning coping mechanisms. I write a lot of lists. I write a lot of things down, so that when I'm going round and round in my head, if I get it out on paper, I can read it. And then the experience of knowing that time when I worried for days and days and didn't eat and didn't sleep, it was okay in the end. It was actually okay in the end. And I've done that for 20 years, and usually it's okay in the end. So now it's like you train yourself in a behaviour, be like, okay, this is bad. You know what to do. It'll be okay in the end, and you'll get out the other side. And I think you just get used to knowing how to deal with it. But I look at, younger people who potentially suffer with the same thing, and I want to try and transform them 10, 15 years to be like, you'll learn how to like deal with this and cope with it, and it'll be okay. But I know right in this moment you think your world has ended and nothing will ever be okay again, and actually it'll probably be fine. And
you referenced that in the letter a little bit, like some of your early experiences. And some of those, I think you call them disasters in the letter.
Full disasters. I was once on a job at my old agency, and we were doing a gig for Ellie Goulding, and we had to transport her backline between one island and another island, and it fell off the back of the boat and went into the sea. That was a pretty dark moment.
It's pretty dramatic.
Yeah. I met loads of other things, power failure, all sorts of stuff, when I just literally thought the ground beneath me was just going to give away, and like we were never going to recover from this. But it was all right in the end. And
now, go on, Max.
I was just going to say, because that moment makes me laugh. There's a point with an Intel project where effectively half the roof fell in half an hour before a meeting. You go into this, I have found, I wanted to ask you, this moment of the sweats. Yeah. Immediately you think, what's the point?
Yeah, what's the point?
Might as well just quit now and things. Yeah. And then you kind of go into this process mode, and then something connects that gives you some traction, almost like the flywheels are spinning. It suddenly hits a gear and you go, well, actually, look, we've got to have a go at trying to fix this, or what have you. And I feel like almost that's the event engine piece.
Yeah.
How have you found that in those moments? Because, not to be exaggerative, it's quite dramatic, some of the stuff that you've said and how you've said it.
Yeah, no, bad.
And it makes me feel slightly nervous about it as well.
Bad things. I think, excuse me, sorry. I think you go into fight or flight mode, definitely. I think as a founder or a boss or a leader or whatever, the hard thing is thinking it's all on you. My immediate thing goes, oh my God, how am I going to fix this? How am I going to fix this? Because if I don't fix it, we're going to lose the client, we're going to lose the job, and then I'm going to have to make people redundant, and they're going to lose the job, and I'm going to have this, and my brain goes literally 6 months forward of all the things that are going to happen because of that one thing. So I've had to try and teach myself to just stay in that moment and be like, we're just going to fix this thing that's happening right now and try and not spiral. And my biggest learning is just the ability to communicate well. I think my biggest learning throughout my whole career is clients, suppliers, whoever it is, they will usually be okay if you just hit it head on and have a conversation with them and be like, this has happened, it's not ideal, but I'm on it and I'm trying to fix it, and know that I will kill myself trying to fix it, and I've got you. And I think if you approach it in that way, there's not much they can say. Whereas I think when you're younger, you know, that maybe your default is you try and hide from it, or you try and brush it under the carpet, or, you know, you avoid that decision making or whatever. And I think getting into this founder set up MD mode is like, I have to tackle everything head on. And it feels terrifying in the moment, but in the end, it makes it better.
How do you think, and that's something I think can only come with experience, right? And confidence of facing the heat head on and doing that, knowing that actually it's a better, you know, it's a harsher moment in time, but actually the aftermath is much better than a prolonged death by a thousand lashes and all the rest of it. In that process of you know, worrying and developing the ability to kind of have those conversations and things, are there successes that you feel you've missed out on? Either celebrating, acknowledging, or otherwise, because either in a state of worry or because you're looking 6 months ahead. I know that we kind of talked about earlier before this, writing the letter forces a level of self-reflection.
Yeah.
And actually, I think the more senior sometimes, or successful, whatever you want to kind of deem that to be, the less you do reflect, because it's seen as, well, you don't have time and or your job is moving forward at pace.
Yeah, loads. Doing Scene Present, I didn't tell anyone for a bit. I didn't want to, you know, tell people that I'd worked with before. I thought they might think I was showing off. Winning, you know, Drum Leader of the Year, that I was like, I don't think we should post about it. Like, people are either going to think she's got really cocky and arrogant. Even the recent one, Winning Campaign, like, I went mad on the night. I was like so ecstatic and surprised at winning that. I didn't think we would, which is bad in itself. I should believe more, and I should believe in the team, and I didn't think. And again, like, I did a post about it on LinkedIn, like, when Sarah said we should enter, I was like, oh, I don't know, like, people might think we're a bit deluded, like, we're only 3 years in, we can't enter Agency of the Year, that's ridiculous. And she's like, yes, we can, we're amazing, like, you're amazing, whatever. And I think that's what I said right in this letter. I'm like, Louisa, you're still the bloody same. Like, can you just, like, enjoy it and believe for a minute, instead of constantly thinking what everyone else is going to think, or like what might go wrong? Because in my head, I'm like, all right, we win Agency of the Year. Well, that means we're up there now. So now we've got to keep it. Now we've got to stay up there, and we can't mess up. And like, the higher you rise, the harder you fall. Everyone's going to be after us. Everyone's going to want to. And I'm like, my mom's like, Louisa, you got to go and take a shot at night nurse. This is like too much. You need to.
Two things that night nurse will come back to. I just can't help but feeling, I want to shake you, and
I know I want to shake myself. Trust me.
And just to realise how good a job you're doing from an external perspective as well, and seeing that, and everyone's looking at this kind of rocketing to the moon type scenario. But also, I can't help but ask: is that this constant self-doubt? And I don't mean to pry too hard. You know, is there something that happened in your younger years, you know, or you mentioned, you know, your mum, things like that, family, kind of a bit, whatever that might look like, that kind of has meant, I know you said you're a warrior, anything happened or a period of time or job or anything like that that's kind of amplified it?
Yeah, I know exactly what it was.
What was it?
I was 8 years old and I was playing Moms and Dads, and I was make-believe, and I rang 999 as part of the game, and they answered and I put it down, and they rang back and said, did you just ring 999? And I said, no. Like, you did. You are evil. You might have blocked the line for someone that really needed it. Don't do it again. And it, like, literally changed my life. I believed I was evil. And after that, everything I did was worry. Is this going to hurt someone? Is it the right thing that I should do? Who's going to be upset? Who's it going to affect? It completely, you know, innocently from them. They were trying to teach me a lesson. Yeah. And you shouldn't ring 9. I was 8 years old. Yeah. I was just in this thing, and it completely changed everything. And from that moment, it just made me, my default was worry is this right? And who am I going to hurt, or who am I going to affect, or what are they going to think because I'm doing it? That was the day. I know, mental, right?
Just really want to go and give 8-year-old Louisa a hug.
I know, playing mums and dads. And I said no, and they was like, we know it's you, because I had EastEnders was on the telly in the background, and they were like, we can hear the same TV show.
Gosh.
I know, mad. I don't think they do that now. They'd probably actually interrogate and be like, are you okay? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But back then.
But it's really funny, actually, because I do remember a period where they were doing those things and trying to educate. And I remember actually having conversations in school about appropriate use of calling 999 and Childline, actually, that had just opened.
Yeah.
I remember that being part of school discussions. But yeah, I
don't blame the person. I shouldn't have done it. I don't blame. A hug. I know, I don't blame the person, but I don't think they realised the spiral effect that had. But it was obviously, it was already in my head that I could be that kind of person. But anyway, that was it.
I almost owed you a fiver. Then you almost got me.
No, it was hard.
I mean, that is just insane, isn't it? And it's the impact and kind of compound effects. And then what about first jobs and kind of going through that? Because you were saying that you cut you open, you bleed event and stuff, and event isn't for the light-hearted and faint-hearted, should I say. But what was that kind of journey in, well, maybe even before, how did that affect the kind of teenage years and going into the jobs market, or what you wanted to be and do?
It was just this this deep set thing of not letting anyone down. I was trying to be perfect all the time. So I was head girl at my grammar school. I got a job when I was 14, to earn pocket money. I was just trying to be, this perfect, not upsetting anyone all the time. I was head of the bullying group at school because I didn't want people to be upset that way. And then
no pressure from parents or anything like that.
No. They're so supportive, but they're salt of the earth, Halifax. I went to the same school as my mum and dad. They met at the school that I went to, and that was really lovely. But they're not really about. They're definitely about work ethic. They're they're definitely about work hard for things, but they're more actually about the person that you are. We're just don't be a dick, basically.
Yeah.
They're being, treat people how you want to be treated, and no matter who they are, from, whatever, road sweepers to CEO of Rolls Royce, whatever. You just be exactly the same person that you are sat here, no matter who you sat in front with. That's what my dad instilled in me. But the event thing came at uni. Because I was helping with stuff at uni. Again, couldn't just do my degree. I was have to be chairman of this and head of that. Nors. But
you bloody loved uni then. All the different groups you get stuck into.
Apart from sports, I've always been crap at sports. But so I helped on the AU ball and Rag Week and the grad ball and all stuff like that. But I worked, which is where my photo's taken. I worked in Durham at the cricket ground in the corporate boxes. And I had this company come in, and they were you can sell. We would literally give you everything, because I don't know, I was pretty normal and made them feel at home or whatever. And they gave me a job, and straight out of uni, it's 18 grand a year. I got a Volvo. I was buzzing, and then quickly realised that the job was selling bricks. I was selling bricks to building sites all around Newcastle and Tynemouth and stuff.
Known for their welcoming demeanour.
It was pretty grounding, I've got to say. I was in, I've always loved my clothes, and I was in my little tottery pencil skirt, which was a thing back then, in my little Volvo with my Nokia, going with my briefcase full of brick samples on building sites. Just 200 builders being what is happening here, with my hard hat on and high vis. And I had to sell. I had to get them to buy their products from me, and I did it for 2 years, and it nearly bloody killed me. But it gave me my grit and my determination and my ability to get, no matter who you are, on side. To make them feel like they were important, and I understood them, and I spent time researching, and I get what your troubles are and, your pain points and whatever. And I think that gave me my work ethic and my grit and my ability to just brush it off, because I tell you, they won't get away with it now, but some of the stuff that happened to me, like, I mean, fair play. I mean, I was like stuck out like a sore thumb, but and then eventually got into events. Like an opportunity came up with Rebecca from We Love This. So she's a family friend, and I started as project assistant for her.
Yeah, love those two.
And then never looked back.
One of the things I wanted to pick up on there was the word grit, because I think that's missing quite often. When I'm just thinking about some of the younger people we see coming through that expect everything to be easy and simple. And I'm a project assistant today, and I want to be an account director by November. No.
Friday.
I'm glad it's not only me that it happens to. It's I love the ambition that people have, but there's a grit that's needed, I think, in any walk of life, but particularly in events, that is very demanding, very deadline driven. You have to evolve constantly. You have to meet some really strict deadlines, and you have to constantly push yourself to be better than you were the day before or the event before. So tell us about how that grit has shown up, because that's such an important characteristic, I think, in our industry. Yeah, I do think it's like, I talk about grit and gumption all the time. Like, but I think for me, what I quickly realise is this grit is what is building my armour and making me better than the next person. And that is what I think is missing, is that this understanding of that. I think career isn't about going through the motions. It's about collecting experiences so that you know how to tackle things. You know, bosses and agencies aren't promoting you just to be mean or like, you know, just for the whim of it. It's because sometimes you can get promoted into a role that you're not ready for, and it's really hard because you've not built that grit, you've not built that armour. And I think for me, this absolute drive to never give up and to never let anyone down and to battle through has been my curse and my blessing, in that it's made me put up with things that I probably shouldn't have put up with, that people nowadays don't, and I think that's a good thing. But it has made me progress through my career quite quickly and given me opportunities, because I do think hard work and grit is recognised as a skill. You might not put grit on your CV, but you do have to have it in our industry. It's relentless. It's absolutely relentless. And agencies are at the bottom of the pile. Like I say to our team, we eat shit daily. Like we just do. We're served it all day. You know, fix this problem. We don't like that. We're shifting the deadline. We've moved the event date. This person's pulled out. We don't like to work with that person. So can you put this person on the account, please? Do you know what I mean? It's like you're just dealing with stuff all the time. So you've got to have this impenetrable armour. And if you don't, unfortunately, I don't think the industry is for you. No matter what I do, no matter what I'm trying to build at Scene Presents to make it a little bit better, I think there's only so much I can fix, and unfortunately you just do have to have grit.
Yeah. I think and agree, and we talked about this earlier, that everyone almost has 3 phases of a career, or 3 different career shifts, or something that, and not everyone has come into the events industry, and a lot of those and people we have on the sofa have come from really interesting or different backgrounds before. And I think the ability to sell, or some of the characteristics and skills you have to hone or develop in order to sell, you had that on steroids. I mean, I don't know many that would find that as a hard sell as that, in terms of bricks to builders as a 20-something-year-old female.
I know.
I'm just thinking then, when did wolf whistling get banned? But I'd imagine you got all
well,
of that.
I can't even begin to imagine.
All of that as well. What would you say if you were to kind of create a top trumps type card of event professional, and taking grit as a softer kind of skill in there? What would you say from your experience and things that has helped, all the things that you either wish you had more of then at the earlier stages or otherwise? What would that kind of profile look like, or the kind of skills and talents there that you think have helped you, or that you think perhaps missing that you would like to have had? Yeah,
I always talk about the 3 Ds.
Okay.
Detailed. You've got to be meticulous in your detail to not miss anything. Determined. You got to be determined to make a success of it, no matter what, and don't be a dick.
That's possibly my favourite.
Because you're dealing with people. I know it's events, but you're dealing with people all day, suppliers to clients to people attending your events, and you have to get them all on side. You have to have this endearing quality, because that you're all striving to this one date where everything has to be perfect, and you have to make everyone almost like follow you into battle. And I think to do that, you have to have an element of people believing in you and what you stand for, and that you've got their back. And I think they'll respect you if you're detailed because you're catching things. They'll respect you if you're like determined because you're determined to make it as successful for everyone involved. And they'll respect you if you just treat them like you want to be treated back. Like my dad always told me when I was little.
And our business is such a people business.
Yeah, it's all about the people. It's driven by people. All my client relationships are just because of people. You know, I don't believe in a hard sell. I don't believe in like, you know, new business cold calling. It's all relationships because it's really hard. We're on site till like 1 a.m. like on 7 floors up, like swinging off a crane. Like you need to be with someone that you like trust. Do you know what I mean? And you can look in the whites of the eyes and be like, I know she's got my back. I know she is not going to let me down. Yeah. She's going to do everything in her power to make this perfect. And if something goes wrong, she'll come and tell me.
So have you had in that journey in the earlier stages then, and we'll talk a little bit about the kind of the meaty kind of element of the career, have you had, you know, in the letter you talked a lot about the self kind of challenges, the self kind of, I'm not going to say kind of defamation because I think obviously quite hard on yourself, which has helped kind of elevate you, pun intended.
Yeah. Hashtag elevate.
Yeah, hashtag elevate. Have you had someone that has helped kind of just give you a glimpse to the other side, or obviously we're about mentoring and people supporting, but have you had someone that's helped you on that way, or have you, you know, how have you sought advice and guidance?
I think family, obviously. My family are massively supportive and always tell me how great I am, even though they've got no idea what I do.
Parties and festivals, right?
I feel like there's an event we should all put on for our parents to explain what events actually are and what we do.
A massive birthday party.
yeah. But no, definitely my family. I think lots of people along the way. My old boss, you know, always, I really respected how he trusted me to just get on with things. And, you know, the fact that he trusted me, you know, gave me a confidence. My fellow female MDs, like we build each other up, and, you know, I'm very lucky to be surrounded by some great female MDs that, you know, but I think it's hard. That's why I think we don't do enough of it, probably. I think you see someone who looks successful, in inverted commas, and think, oh, they're fine, they've got it all figured out, they don't need my help. Actually, can you mentor me? Like, I've got 6 mentees outside of Elevate, like, because I get approached by people who think I have it all figured out. Like, I don't. Like, I fake it to make it all day, every day. So I think that's why Elevate is so great, because it's like it works both ways. And I don't think we probably enough even go to the most successful people in the world and be like, you all right? Do you need someone to talk to? Like, you're doing really well, whatever it is.
It is why we created Elevate in that way, actually, because when Max and I had the conversation about it, we were really clear that it was for everybody from the very top to those people first coming in, because one of the things we recognised was there are very specific interventions that are just for women or just for juniors coming in, and some of the more senior people do get access to professional coaches or what have you. But we had this real sense of actually everybody needs it, and actually you probably need it more as you get more senior, because people look to you for answers that perhaps you have but don't know you have, or you've got your own sort of journey that you're going on. But it was for exactly that reason. Yeah. Everybody needs support at every stage of their journey, and just because you're more senior doesn't mean you need less support. It probably means you need more.
Yeah, because we've never done it before. I've never been MD of a 32-person agency, and like in X months' time, I've never been an MD of a 34 or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've never done it before. So I'm learning as I go and trying to be the best I can be, but I definitely don't have it all figured out.
So let's talk about your career journey then, because as you say, you rose through the ranks quickly. So give us a little snapshot of your early career from that first project assistant role through to the point at which you were on the precipice, if you like, of starting an agency.
It's just before. Is this where you wanted to be in terms of aspirations? Different?
No.
Okay.
I never thought. I thought I was a really good second in command. I was really happy with that. That's what I thought. I was like, give me a vision and I will deliver it. Okay. Like, I'm a deliverer. And that's why I've been, project assistant all the way up. So project assistant, project manager, senior project manager, project director. My sweet spot was delivery and being able to deliver multiple things at once. Like my capacity for work was my strength. And then, building those authentic relationships, I then moved into client servicing because, the relationships were mine and they trusted me and all of that.
Which businesses were these at on that journey?
So I started with an agency called Logistic, and I was with them. I'm a long-termer me. I was with them for 7 years. Then I went to Design Scene, was with them for a similar amount of time, left Design Sceners, had a really long fancy title because I worked across America. So I was Global Vice President of Client Servicing.
Yes. Ooh.
That's what you do, so.
Can you have any more words in a title? No. So that was all about client relationships and still delivery to some extent. And then I left Design Scene and I had a little bit of a break from events, and I went to Scene Studios, who are one of our sister agencies. And I was MD cover then, again, doing client servicing. And, excuse me. And then was approached because if you cut me open, I am events, couldn't stop talking about events, was trying to get our retail clients to do events. Was approached to be do you want to resurrect Scene Presents? Do you want to start Scene Presents 2.0? And that's when founded Scene Live, which is our legal name, set up Scene Presents and moved into MD/founder. Whole new world. How the chuff do you do that? I've got to build something I've got to build a brand, a website, values, a culture. I've got to hire people. I've got to find clients. I've got to make us famous, but I've also got to do ways of working. I'd never done it before, but then I was I kind of have. When I was at Design Scene, I went over to New York and we set up an office there. And then I went to LA, set up an office there. So I'd done that before, but I'd just never thought that I was entrepreneurial enough to have the vision, because I'm a bit of a safe person. This worry of not letting people down can sometimes make me play quite safe versus having this, massive vision and shooting for it and being sod it, let's go for it. And I'm just going to throw everything at it. So I had to learn how to think a bit like that, think a bit bigger and trust the process. But I never thought it'd go as well as it has been going, touch wood.
So talk us through what that was like then, because like you said, there's a lot to think about when you start an agency, and actually quite unusually, as you said, you started from scratch. You had to find clients, you had to build a team. Most people when they start agencies have a client or have some staff already or have sort of the bones, if you like, of an agency there to build, but you started it from scratch. So what was that like? And you're still 3.5 years in, so you're still in the sort of early stages of it, if you like.
Yeah.
But tell us that first year, what that was like and how you approached it.
Well, part of it was luck in that TikTok came along. TikTok was a new...
Yeah, it's definitely luck landing TikTok, definitely.
Well, it was a new...
Or excessive usage, that you know it.
It was a new app, and they were because it's not, again, TikTok isn't that old, and they were looking for agencies, and we got approached to, due to an old relationship, do you want to try and be on the roster? But it was like an RFI, so what's your culture, what's your values, give us some experience. And I had to be really honest, it's some of this experience is mine, not the agency's. But we got on it. They really believed in us and what we were doing. I'll be forever grateful that happened. And that kind of propelled us. For the first year, we were predominantly a TikTok agency. So year one was around building that relationship, not messing up, making sure that we could keep that, because everyone was knocking on TikTok's door. Everyone wants to work with them. So making sure that we were their solid agency, and then building out a brand for us. So what was our proposition? And I didn't quite nail that in year one. This intangible, tangible came towards the last half of year two, because I believed we needed a niche. There's so many agencies out there. So what is our thing? What is our USP? And our USP is that we bring all those brands that you engage with that you can't touch, those brands that you engage with on screen, into physical worlds. That's our main proposition. So that year one was about that. Year one was about finding people who also weren't going to mess up. So year one was I was in my delivery head, which is my background. Then I quickly realised, okay, I need to move out of delivery. I need to think about sustaining growth. We need more clients. So then it was about reaching out to old contacts and, you know, trying to say, this is us and this is me and this is what we're doing. And that's when we got Netflix and took them to Cannes for the first time. This year we'll be taking them for the third time. And then third year was about making us famous. It was about, you know, there are some big players out there. I really believe in our proposition. I need people to know about us. It doesn't matter how great I think we are. I need everyone else out there to know. So it was about really investing in marketing, getting our name out there. But year two was also, year one, I forgot to look inwards. I was looking out a little bit. I was looking out, not letting clients down, and I forgot to look inwards and not let my team down. And year two, I really needed to build out our culture plan and our perks and our policies and make sure they were looked after. And year four is now growth, sustain and growth. How do I keep it all going? And then trying to get my entrepreneur head on and think what's next.
So I've got two questions for you in that, because before the mics came on, we were talking about the reality of growing a business in those early years and the challenges, not just for the founder or the founders building an agency, but for the people coming on. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's hugely challenging. That's why, you know, like I said, I've been a project assistant. I've been a project manager building someone else's Coconut Island. I've been the one working 18-hour days for your salary and whatever, and going, well, I'm averaging £2 an hour here. This is ridiculous. And your mum going, what are you doing with your life? Why are you working 18 hours? Oh, this is ridiculous. You could earn more in a cafe. I've had those conversations. So I'm like, building an agency is not for the light-hearted. It is not 9 to 5. You have to love it and think about it all the time. And I get that. And I work really flipping hard. But I'm building something that I really believe in. So my biggest challenge and my biggest guilt and my worry all the time is, but what about all these people that are coming on this journey and having to believe in it and work as hard as me to do it as well? And how do I look after them and almost be like, you know, we'll get there. Like, I'll get to a point where I can have all the bells and whistles, like, believe in me, trust in the process. I'll try and look after you and build something that's sustainable, that reward them. That I found really hard. And like I said, in year one, I didn't focus on it enough. And we do have moments, like, we're busy. It's busy all the time. But, we have a lift me up culture where we have things like we see you awards every month. We go on holiday every year together. You know, we have all the usual gym and membership, mobile phone. But as a small agency, that's hard to do. To find the money to do that while you're trying to build an agency is quite hard. But I wish I'd have done it a little bit earlier. And I will continue to probably try and analyse and look at that, because I do feel guilt sometimes when we're sitting in the office working on a pitch, because I know what they are thinking.
But to your credit, you have an agency that attracts great talent and that people are talking about and that people want to join.
Yeah, they're superstars. They're great.
Which is incredible. And the second question I had listening to your journey was, I'm curious about the shift that went on for you to make that transition from being an exceptional project deliverer to founder and how you make those steps. And it must have been baby steps at first and probably now having to be bigger steps. But what was that journey like for you to make that transition? Because I guess that's the biggest transition for a lot of people to go. If I think about the junior levels, when you go from sort of project assistant to senior to account manager to senior account manager, and then the project director level is quite a jump. But I can't imagine the project director to founder jump.
Especially when it wasn't something that you kind of had your heart set on.
No, I didn't. I wasn't. But that's the thing, I suppose.
Do you think that makes you a better leader because of that?
That's what people say. I think they say, like, because you don't think you're an MD or that you deserve to be an MD, that makes you a great MD. Because there's, like, no ego. There's no... Every day I walk in and be like, guys, just so you know, I've got no idea what I'm doing. So today's going to be a learning day. But I needed to be so what I think must be much harder is that you wake up one morning and you go, I am going to set up an agency today. I'm going to put everything on the line, my house, everything, and I am going to put in an agency. And that, you know, I have to be honest, that wasn't me. Someone approached me and said, we believe in you. We will invest in you. Do you want to give this a go? We think you will be great. And because they said that, I went, I can't let you down. I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to kill myself to make this great so that you didn't back the wrong horse. So that was my journey, and that I needed someone to say that. And I think that is important for anyone. You have to have at least someone around you that'll be like, yes, this is a great idea, but also someone who knows business. You know, I did need their advice of like how to set up, what to invest in, you know, setting up your first P&L, all of that jazz. I didn't just, you know, Google it. I had help to know how to do that. But regardless of all that support, it was the talking in the mirror to be like, you are not a dog's body anymore. Like, you have to set the vision. So you have to work on the business, not in the business. And shifting that is quite hard when you're a doer. You know, I'm a floor sweeper, a vinyl putter-upper, a budget maker, and I struggle with it every day. But I do also think it's why clients like working with us, in that I am there. I am on site. You can see me. I work hard. And I think the team like it as well. They're like, well, you know, she's grafting, then I'll graft too. And then there's no wafting about kind of thing.
And that goes back to that earlier point of learning your craft and learning your trade, because I think there's something to be said when you get to a senior level and you understand what goes on site, and you understand the late nights, and you know how to sweep a floor or put the vinyls up, or what goes into setting up the rigging or the lighting. And I remember having one of my colleagues once, we were on site for Mobile World Congress building the stands, and it was 2 weeks into the build, and they decided they wanted to move a cabinet by, I don't know, 30 centimetres or something. And you're like, no, because you've then got to move the wiring and the rig. And I could have that conversation because I knew. So that, again, that must make you a really different leader. And I think people must really look up to that, because it shows, again, you kind of can't skip levels, because then you miss such a chunk of that knowledge.
I've literally gone up the exact ladder, which I do think, like this, I talk about building armour all the time, but I do think it has built my armour to know what to do in like most scenarios.
Do you think, I feel quite lucky because of the vantage point I have across businesses. Do you think, and where you're talking about the honesty and on the tools and being in there, I don't doubt the direction of the business. So let's put it at 60 people. You can't be that person.
No, I can't.
How do you feel with that kind of coming down the line? Or equally, is that kind of one of those, and some of those other, it's almost like a 2.0 MD, right? When you hit a certain business of a certain size and things like that. But I suppose, what are you most excited about and or conscious of coming down the line, I suppose? And what does the end of that line look like?
I know, like the honest part of me is like, I don't feel great about it. that is the honest part of me is that I when I got this opportunity, I wanted to build something different to what was out there, and I wanted to know everyone in the business. I wanted that culture, that honesty to always filter through, and even as you're tipping 30, I'm clinging onto it by my fingernails. And the thought of being 60, 100, I know that there will be people in the business that I won't know. I won't know when their birthday is, or that they've just moved in with their boyfriend or whatever. Yeah. And there'll be clients that I don't know. And that's my next transition. I've got to be okay with that. And I think the way to be okay with that is to build a really strong leadership team that I really trust and that I know are going to live our values. And that should be the exciting bit, because that's exciting for them. They're on their next ladder and getting to their next thing. And unless I, shove off, they can't do that. So I've got to see it as the thing that I, wanted my career in, that, everyone wants to progress. So it's like a bit of a double feeling, really, in that I'm terrified of it all going wrong, that if I step away and I lose control of it, that we'll lose the essence of us. And I think that's why sometimes agencies start losing clients. They get too big and they lose the essence of themselves and they can't check the quality. And I've got to put everything I can in place to stop that from happening.
Well, there's two points to that. One of which is you hit that ceiling, that plateau where you go from a family to groups of friends.
Yep.
And to your point, and equally the dynamic and the type of leadership needed, things like that changes. And some people don't address that. and therefore it remains, and then they'll lose a client, win a client, and they'll just bubble along. And I won't say the monetary amounts, but it's within about 2 million quid and within about 5 people, and it is so consistently across that.
I know. I've read many books on it.
Yeah, but it's really interesting, kind of you seeing that, and I suppose then to your point then about the excitement and nervousness around it is that, you know, is it a lifestyle business or a growth business? But knowing what we're talking about, it being something that actually there's the ambition to grow it. What does that look like? What is your ambition? Just park sense for a second. Personally, what does your journey look like, and where do you want to get to?
I would like, so my ambition for the business is I would like to grow enough to keep getting and maintain the exciting projects, because I think you have to be an agency of a certain size to get some of the cool projects out there. So we've just done Netflix's Upfronts in New York, which is like one of my top 5 things to do. You know, the Cannes of the world. I'd love to do something at Coachella. I'd love to do something around the Super Bowl. And obviously there's a theme there. They're in the US. So I do think some of the most exciting experiential is potentially overseas. So I would like to get to a point where we can be seen as an agency that can deliver that kind of work. And I think we're getting some incredible projects. So I'd like to maintain and get it to a size of a business where we can continue to get unbelievable clients and unbelievable projects that still excite me, because I love our industry and I love my job like so much. I'm not in retiring mode. Like, I love it. But I want to keep it interesting. So that's ideally for the business. But then maybe in like 10 years time, I'd love to like maybe work 3 days a week. That might be quite nice. Maybe not have to work 5 to 6 days a week, which is when you're like scaling a business, essentially you do. So maybe long term, that'd be quite nice. So have built it enough so that it sustains itself, everyone's happy, everyone's got progression, they're leading the way, and I can do the bit that I'm good at, which is like client relationships, helping with the strategy and the creative of the projects, and going on site for the fun ones.
That sounds great.
High fives and handshakes.
Yeah, I mean, I'll still be in Cannes up a ladder, sticking on a vinyl, I should think. Much to my investors'
You talked about your leadership team there, and what's quite unique about Scene Presents is you have a female leadership team, which is unusual in our industry, but absolutely brilliant. So was that a conscious decision, or has that just been around finding the right people?
Semi-conscious. So we're like 90%. So like our business is like 80%. Our leadership team is 90% female. We do have the amazing Chris, who heads up our.
Sorry, Chris, you are.
No, he's unbelievable. He heads up our studio. But yes. I would say that I still do consciously think about if there is a female out there that fits the business and fits the role, I'd love to talk to them. But I'm not about not hiring someone because of whatever they are.
Yeah.
If actually someone comes across my desk who is like perfect and happens to be male or whatever, then I will hire that person. But I'm trying to create space for females to progress and to lead, because there's just not that many of us. You know, our industry is powered by women. There's bloody 100%. Millions of us on the ground. It's like, we're like 87% or something in it, but like 20% are in a female leadership position. Like even our MD group, there's like 4 women and like 48 men of like MDs in the agency world. It's like tiny. Like you walk into that room and like, okay. I'm like, Cassidy, please come. So it's,
hang on, let's be clear. I've built out a more inclusive one than that.
It's not your fault though. There's just not that many of us out there.
Yeah,
there's not that many of us out there.
Yeah.
So I'd like to create a space where, you know, in X amount of years' time, there are more female MDs, so that your group flips the other way of percentage potentially. So yeah.
Can you imagine the men going, we feel like
I know,
a
my God, we can't go.
Oh my gosh,
we can't go.
But it is so important, and I think it is so great to see a female founder lift others up. It's what our industry has needed, because there's that thing of you can't be what you can't see, and you're very much leading the charge around that.
So what would you say then, and it's a perfect segue into that piece, and we'll get onto the one piece of advice, but in terms of how you empower your team and those females in kind of more senior positions, what are the common challenges you see them face, and equally what's that kind of support and or advice that you're giving them in that kind of upper echelon. It really is that kind of director, isn't that account directors, whereas they've come in from a senior kind of account manager into account directorship, and there's this tussle, and it kind of happens in this churn, and whether it's then having a family or then it's, you know, the challenge is real there, and I completely see that as well. What do you see as those challenges, and how do you support, or how do you think the industry could be doing better to support?
So I think if I go the advice bit first, the bit that unfortunately we still have to do is we have to build our personal brand internally and externally. 100%. We have to work much harder to make ourselves famous and seen.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that I learned when I set up Scene Presents is, like, you know, as much as it ranks me out, I have to put myself everywhere and do everything to
which you have been, right?
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. But.
It's brilliant.
No, but it's something that actually in some of those conversations that I've had separate to, people seeing it and going, who's doing that for them, or how are they doing it?
You have to talk about yourself. So whether
is that coming from you, or is it support that you've got that that's helping bring that to market? Or
I've got a marketing team, but if you ever see me write anything, it's me. It's not AI. It's not an assistant.
Yeah, okay.
It's not a copywriter. It's me, and I feel very passionate about that because this authentic thing it's not pretend. So if I'm going to say I'm authentic and northern and like, oh my God, I'm great, and I have to live by that. So I'm like, I'd write my own stuff. But whether you're building an agency, a brand, but what I'm saying is, as a woman, if you're wanting to progress, and I have a lot of mentees that I talk to about this, it's like, if I go on your LinkedIn or whatever, I'm like, I don't know who you are or what you stand for or what you're about or what your knowledge is. And I'm really sorry to tell you this, but you're going to have to put some effort in and make yourself famous. Post about the industry, update your profile, attend networking events, do stuff so that you are seen and you are heard, and do it internally in your organisation as well. So again, unfortunately, we have to work a bit harder, but volunteer to do that presentation, to speak at that all hands, to head up that culture committee, whatever it is, because you need to lift your head above the line or whatever you call it, more than men do. So that, unfortunately, it feels weird at first, but embrace it, and I swear to God you'll reap the rewards. And then I think how we can support as an industry, in that, you know, men do as well, obviously, but, you know, women, if they choose to be a mother, etc. So I've chosen not to be a mother. I don't have kids. I'm not having them. I don't know. Even as a woman, I don't know what it feels like. And I also don't know how they do it, because I give every last cent of my energy to Scene Presents. Like, I do it all the time. So, but one thing I found is hiring mums is they're probably more productive and more efficient than me, because they have to step away. They have to leave. And, you know, because someone's waiting for them, a human being is waiting for them, but they never let me down. They don't not do something. Something's not half as good. So they prioritise their time better. And I think that's been, you know, my learning, in that if I can try and create a space that is flexible to that allows them to try and do a bit of both.
So we are coming to the question, but there's a question I want to ask you first, because if anyone has seen you at an award ceremony win an award, which I've had the pleasure of doing several times, no one is more excited to win an award than Louisa O'Connor, and it is the best thing to see. And what I really get a sense of is how much not just the award means to you, but the work means to you, and how proud you are of the agency and the people that have won, because the level of excitement when you win an award is electric. So does the work still excite you, and are you still proud, and what goes on behind that? Because it isn't just winning the award, is it? It is more than that.
Yeah, I mean, some people are like, oh, awards, like, such, like, it doesn't mean anything. People pay to win them. I don't pay. I've got like a teeny marketing budget. So like when we enter an award, we put everything into it, and it's just like this social proof of everything that I know and everything that the team knows, of all the work, the hours, the tears, the sweat that goes into building something, getting recognised by the industry and your peers. And I want my team to know how much it means, and I want every other person in that room to know how much it means, because it isn't just a thing that we put on a desk. It's like we worked collectively really flipping hard for that, and I want to celebrate. I don't want to just stand there and go, oh, thanks very much, like, you know. I'm like, no, like this is, excuse me, we're 3 years old and we just won Agency of the Year. Like, are you actually joking? I'm going to choke on my champagne. Like, this is mental. Like, I FaceTime my mum after, she obviously has no idea what it means. But I'm like, this is like mad. And I hope I never lose that. I remember you sending me a photo of like a shopping basket full of awards of some agency out there. And I'm like, I don't care if we end up with 3,000 awards. I will do it every sodding time because I need everyone to know how much it means. And it like, my team were over the moon because it's like a medal for them and everything that they've put into doing it. It's not just for me, it's them. Like, they are the agency and it means such a lot.
And it goes back to that point about making yourself famous and putting yourself out there, even in places that perhaps you were saying earlier, even at 3 years old, might make you uncomfortable, but it's going out there and going, no, we're good enough.
Yeah, we're good enough and we bloody won it.
If you wouldn't mind just standing up and giving us a demonstration of said dance.
Yeah, I want to see your karate moves. Jiu-jitsu?
Taekwondo.
I knew it was one of them. Your taekwondo moves next time.
If you don't get it right.
That's it. I'm scared to get on the wrong side of Louisa. So we're coming to the question, which is all about the advice you would give your younger self. And we have got 2 absolutely gorgeous pictures of you.
Absolute belters.
NYC on a shopping spree?
That was New York for my 21st birthday. It was my mum's 50th and my 21st.
Oh, wow.
And she saved up for a long time for that trip. And it was when the pound on the dollar was mental. It was amazing. And I made every shop assistant, even if I bought like 2 pairs of socks, I'd made them put them in 2 separate bags because I really wanted the shot of loads of bags because it made me think, what a loser. What a loser. It made me think of Clueless. I wanted all the bags.
And you on a sunny canal somewhere.
Right.
I thought this was abroad, but it's actually
No, it's in Durham. It was because I was at uni in Newcastle and we used to go to Durham on a weekend to try and be posh because obviously Durham was the posher uni. And us lasses would go and we'd hire out a rowing boat looking for rugby boys.
Looking helpless.
Oh, help me! I'm rowing and I can't.
Is this before or after your success in taekwondo?
What? Sorry.
Was this before or after your success?
This
in
was
taekwondo?
during. Hence why my arms look a lot better than they look now. But yeah, I remember that day so clearly. I ummed and ahed about what top to wear. I went with my Primark sequin one. Nailed it. I feel.
Nailed it.
When we were talking about it, I said all it was missing was one of those massive chunky belts.
No,
and you're like, oh no, it's there.
It's there. It's hiding in the corner.
So, looking back at those photos of you at 21, what advice would you give 21-year-old Louisa if you could?
I'd give it to myself now as well. But if you're going to worry about it, don't do it. If you've already done it, then don't worry about it. Just take what you can out of the experience and use it to build your armour.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for having me. I've had a blast.
So have we.
Yeah.
So obviously we both know Louisa really well. And what I loved about that conversation was she came across just as she is and she talked about it and her dad's sort of sense of just be who you are in every situation. And she absolutely was. And you can see her passion for the industry, her love for her team and the desire she has, not just for herself to do well, but for her team to do well and to be recognised, really coming through that conversation.
What I think will surprise a lot of people is that because of the speed of which they as a business have come through, there's an expectation there's a secret sauce or something, a load of money, investment or otherwise. Yet what's apparent because of the genuine and honest conversation is it's just authenticity and her desire and love, not only for the industry, for the work and things like that, but for the people around her and her understanding of what each of these phases looks like of growth later on. I think it's just such a lovely, warming conversation, right? With some really interesting kind of surprises and conversation and advice along the way. I thought she delivered that really well. And
I think there's 3 bits of advice that come out of there alongside her advice that I really resonated with. That need for grit and to face into things and to be willing to do the hard stuff. The need to make yourself famous and to push yourself out there and out of your comfort zone and to shout about the things you do, but also the need as a leader to make space for people behind you. And I thought those things really resonated for me.
Yeah. But in doing so with all of it, she's still figuring it out.
Yes.
There is still a huge amount that she is worried about. And worry obviously is a huge thing in terms of this almost self-sabotage, but the way in which she's dealing with it and equally created some coping mechanisms, which she alludes to on the conversation, I think is what's going to help her kind of be that successful leader in this next phase, and why clients and employees want to work with her. Absolutely. So it's a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. And
we can't not talk about the vulnerability of Louisa sharing her journey and her experience with anxiety and worry and where it stemmed from, because I think, one, she was really brave to share it.
Yeah.
Two, it clearly impacts and informs a lot of what she does, but how she has learned to work with it and use it to her advantage. And I thought it was really generous of her to share that insight to help others as well that might be feeling that and to go through that. And I thought that took real courage.
I agree. Loved it. Elevate operates thanks to the generosity of our partners and supporters. See the show notes to find out more about them.
Together, we're changing lives, careers in the events industry for the better. Our producer is Peter Kerwood and our sound and mix engineer is Matteo Magariello.